All right, Phil, 11 and a half Super Bowl champions, Philadelphia Eagles. Are you going over or under?
I think the question always is, will there be a Super Bowl hangover? Now, the Eagles proved a lot last season. It looks like the tush push is going to stay, at least for the foreseeable future. And this team is stacked on stacked. There's no really other way to put it. If you think back to a couple years ago, Jalen Hurts, his confidence was at an all time low. And I really think now his confidence is at an all time high. He won the Super Bowl. He proved that to himself and to everyone else. There's no reason to think they will be going under. Give me the over for the Eagles.
I really like that. It's kind of one of those things where you get the frustration of losing out of your system. And I think that Jalen Hurts, we could see a completely different version of him. But quite simply, I'm taking the over for this because Sirianni's got this team locked in. They're all rallied around one another. They know how to play as a team. And they killed it this offseason. They added some really good depth in free agency. They also found key playmakers in the draft. I think Jahad Campbell is going to be such a weapon for Vic Fangio. For them to win 12 ball games this year, assuming the wheels don't fall off for some crazy reason, they're going to be able to pretty cleanly hit this. They might be one of those teams that comes off the Super Bowl and ends up winning like 14, 15 games and has an insane record at the end of the year. Washington Commanders, though, they're dealing with a little bit of turmoil right now with their receiver room. Their over-under is set at 9.5 wins. Which way do you stand?
I think this is probably the toughest one in the division. This is a 12-win team last year, but going into last year, nobody expected them really even to make the playoffs. At least I didn't. And then they come in and have this great year, but throughout the season, they were pretty inconsistent. They blew out a lot of teams, but they also got blown out. I think the playoffs is a great representation of that. They blew out the Lions, then they go and get absolutely blown out by the Eagles. So it's kind of how much do you believe in Jayden Daniels in his sophomore season? Will we see that sophomore slump? Or will, he continue to get better? They added Deebo Samuel, one of the toughest people to tackle in the league. We'll have to see what happens to Terry McLaurin, but I don't see Jayden Daniels regressing this year. He finished last year. That playoff game against the Lions was one of his best games. So I look for them to keep rolling, get at least 10 wins, and hit the over.
I'm taking the over as well. And I think that the Terry McLaurin stuff is absolutely concerning, but the timing of the trade request, it makes more sense that he ends up just returning and coming back this season. I mean, heck, the Trey Hendrickson stuff is an example of that, where we thought that he wasn't going anywhere near Cincinnati, and here he is back at camp. I think assuming McLaurin comes back, them winning 10 ball games, at least 10 ball games, is on the radar. They're one of these teams that was so unexpected last year, like you said. Jayden Daniels willed them to victories that they weren't supposed to even be in striking distance with a pretty old roster. And this team got better. Their O-line got better. Their defense added some pieces that I think are going to be productive, and they added Deebo Samuel. This is a roster for the Commanders where they're on the ascension. I just freaking hope that they figure out what they're doing with Terry McLaurin and they get that resolved soon so that there is no slow start for them. The New York Giants, 5.5 wins. What do you like?
I think the Giants have a chance of being the disaster team to come out of this year. And we have Russell Wilson, who looks like he'll be at least the week one starter. We'll see how long he progresses. But you go back to his days in Denver and even last year in Pittsburgh, and we really saw a guy who was a shell of his former self. This is a young team. I think they have a lot of future potential. I don't think the future is now. I love Jackson Dart. I think if they develop him correctly, the Giants will be great in 5 years. But right now, you have Malik Neighbors. He may be a bit antsy to get wins. And this team may blow up, and they may blow up fast. I'm going under.
This is one of the ones where I don't want to touch it because they have one of the hardest schedules in the NFL. Just a comically hard schedule. For them to get the 6 wins, you look at the schedule and you're kind of trying to figure out, well, okay, what are even the 6 games that they would win? The one reason why I have pause, and I promise I'm not just saying this because I'm a Giants fan, I think that Russell Wilson is veteran enough to work in the confines in the offense that he actually brings an adult to the room that they haven't had in a very long time. Daniel Jones was so mistake prone, and Russell Wilson is literally the polar opposite of that. I kind of wonder Is there something there that they just end up being a little bit steadier? And Malik Neighbors has a great season, and Tyrone Tracy plays really well. The O line meshes. Those things could be enough for them to win 6 ball games. And the biggest part, though, is not enough people are talking about this defense. This defense for the Giants is freaking loaded. And there's a chance, not even a chance, they look like on paper they have the best defensive line in the NFL. It is diverse, it is deep, it is scary. I'm taking the under, but this is one of those picks where if you're a bettor, I wouldn't touch it because the Giants could shockingly surprise some people by eking out a couple of wins that they're not supposed to by like 2 points because their defense plays so well. America's team, 7.5. What do you like, Phil?
Man, I mean, you can hit the over, and they don't even have to have a winning record on the season. The Cowboys, I don't know if their total has been this low in the past 10 years. I think this is a great spot. This team is loaded on talent, and I think the over is great just off talent alone. They still have those names that you recognize on the defensive side of the ball. Micah Parsons, Trayvon Diggs. Like, these are some explosive elite defensive players. And on the offense, you have Dak, you have CeeDee Lamb, and they go and they get George Pickens. Who do they have to give up? Brandon Cooks, who's probably washed 2 years ago, not even last year. So I think they're improving on the offensive side of the ball. We'll see what they do with the run game, but they still have those leaders that will lead the offense, lead the defense. Jerry Jones will not be too happy if this team can't get 8 wins, can't get 9 wins. Give me the over.
Give me under 7.5 wins for the Cowboys. And it all comes from the distractions that are being created, the whole Micah Parsons contract mishandling it. And this isn't your typical, oh, hey, he's just slow to get his deal. You've got an owner who's taking shots at your, quite literally your best player, your most gifted player on the roster, the voice of the defense that has been inconsistent that you need to play better. That is a distraction. Last year, so many distractions with contracts and how they were trying to navigate it. They had a super slow start because of it. I do not trust that Brian Schottenheimer is going to be able to navigate all this as a first-time coach, as a guy that nobody thought should have even had been a head coach. So I'm taking the under. I think that the wheels are really going to fall off at some point, and we're going to be pointing and laughing at the Cowboys not hitting their potential despite having so many gifted players.